I plan on reviewing the second half of Season 7 of The Walking Dead, but to get me in the mood and to get my feet planted, I've decided to do a video on the one thing in the show that I absolutely hate. And while I was putting that video together, I couldn't help but go off on random tangents about all the things that I love as well. So I decided to just make it its own video. Granted, the video won't be as well structured, and it'll be nonsensical and messy and nowhere near as long as the hate one, but fudge it, why not? So let's start with characters, shall we? My favourite character is Maggie. And I'll admit it, the main reason, for a time, why she was my favourite character was because she's portrayed by the magnificent Lauren Cohen. I mean, damn. I certainly rise up if you catch my drift. That's the thumbnail sorted anyway, for sure. Anyway, even though I'm a shallow guy on the surface, deep down I really grew to admire and love Maggie, as she went from the hot farmer's daughter to the short-haired badass we know today. She was the one who, like Glenn, would literally walk to the end of the earth to find her soulmate, the first to stand and to put forth that they should cry havoc and loose the dogs of war. As well as Maggie, I love me some Rick Grimy Heart, cold as ice, mad dog sheriff McBadass.
They're fucking with the wrong people.
Seriously, as someone who just completed Resident Evil 7, there is no weaker spot in a story than a boring protagonist. Granted, games are different than other forms of media, as you tend to control and not just be a voyeur, but at first Rick was just so dull to me. But slowly and surely he came out of his shell and channeled the comic book Grimes, letting loose on all who would call themselves master to him and his, doing shit like this.
Come here! What the hell are you gonna do now, sport?
Eek! I fucking love it. The maniac. Mad dog. So, this is just a teaser to build up to my actual favourite thing about The Walking Dead. And that is, of course, Maggie. She's so hot. Just joshing. The camaraderie. The community. I love seeing bonds created, and this show is brilliant at showcasing this. Take Rick and Daryl. At the start of the show, Rick leaves Merle handcuffed to a roof and fucks off like. Unsurprisingly, Daryl doesn't take to Rick for this. Also, it's clear Daryl has lived outside the law his whole life, and Rick basically is the law, choosing to be the only police officer still serving in the post-apocalypse. Seriously, Judge Dredd ain't got shit on Rick. So of course, Rick and Daryl are not on the same page, but over time, these two unite, creating a passionate bond, calling each other brother. These ties need to be believable for the show to have stakes. When these characters risk their lives for each other and are slain in front of each other, we need to feel the bonds of a lifetime being put to the test, and The Walking Dead aces this, for the most part anyway. So that's it. This video is without any real direction or structure, and of course there is much more I could go on about and that I love in this show, but this section would have just been out of place in the hate video, and that video is long enough as it is. So, what do I hate about this show? Is it Maggie? Of course not. All hail Maggie. She gets my coveted T-Rex status award. Even though this is the first time I've given it out, it's very special. Trust me, it's the highest honor. T-Rex status award goes to Maggie. Woo! So, what do I hate about The Walking Dead? Find out next time when I get negative about The Walking Dead. Wow, that was fucking redundant.